after G20, our students in India, or for that matter in France or other countries, would have a thesis advisory committee comprising faculty from each country. That would be a way of disrupting the conventional way of guiding our students. The best of the minds in different countries could guide our students. Third thing that I would like to remind all of us is we had the opportunity in Honeybee Network to work with UNDP Acceleration Labs, 91 labs in 115 countries, to map innovations, to scout innovations, both in formal and informal sector. I would wish the G20 takes it forward. And if in each country the disruptive innovations, both from grassroots and from formal sector, high-tech sector, are blended to make the life of common people better. Today, people feel sometimes left out from the discourse on disruptive technologies, and they feel that they are being made redundant. The AI and other things are giving that impression. That's not true, but it is being, that impression is being given. So how can we use disruptive technologies to empower the intuition, the empathy, the social connectedness, the rootedness of our culture and our values and our students, scholars? And this is something that I would request everybody to keep in mind. We should also think of what are the models of collaboration that we would like to suggest, which will build on in alternating power. Then I would think that that will be a success of G20 platform if we can get more such green, circular technologies, clean of us from our neighborhoods. At the time of epidemic, we realized that they were the first one to help us in our situation of distress. So how do we don't want to disrupt those structures which help sustain our society. At the same time, we want to disrupt certain technologies which include more drudgery. And I would also suggest that please remember and keep in mind that technologies that women use tend to undergo much slower rate of change and innovation than the technologies that men use. So we must also bring the gender bias in our thinking and bring in opportunities so that the women do not get left behind just because their technologies have not been discussed. Last point, there's a book called as Mothers and Daughters of Invention. I have asked this question in all the universities wherever women change agents, women scholars, whose role and whose place in the history of ideas and technologies has remained subdued. And we need to correct that bias from each of the country. And I would request panelists to pay special attention to bring out those contributions of the disruptive technologies and innovations where role of women, role of grassroots, role of communities, and culture can be highlighted. So I will request now Alison Dell, please, floor is yours. 5 minutes if possible.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me? Great. Thank you, Vitality, and also for bringing us here to this beautiful college. It's such a beautiful spot to be in, and what a stunning room. Before I start to talk about research, I'd just like to point out a couple of things. Number one, I'm doing my hardest to address the gender balance on the panels today, so I hope I'm going okay with that. And number two, I'd also like to thank Borheen for pointing out the UNESCO GLOCO. I actually have the great pleasure of leading Australia's work on the GLOCO, and Australia ratified that in January. So very, very excited about that, and it's fundamental to our mobility. I think we've heard a lot of things this morning about how research can solve what are clearly existential and global challenges. So I just wanted to speak a little bit about what Australia is doing, and also note that my learned colleagues will also speak about a lot of things that their countries are doing. So Australia recognises the role that new knowledge and innovation can play in the economic and cultural and social advancement of our nation, and to solve these existential challenges. I also note that Professor Rangajaran talked about supply chains earlier today. Australia obviously in the pandemic found itself in a bit of a pickle on supply chains because there were a number of areas where we fell short. And I went on a holiday to Singapore in January, and I tried to explain to my 11-year-old son all the boats in the Singapore harbour. I've been really, really, really great at doing basic research in universities, and we have focused a lot on our basic research in our universities. And as a result, we have some amazing inventions and results from that. So Australia obviously invented Wi-Fi, the cochlear implant, and a range of other things like the cervical cancer vaccine. And this investment in research has obviously led to us having really high levels of basic research compared to our counterparts in the UK and the US and South Korea. However, our universities have really strong ties to industry and the government, and we've heard a little bit about that this morning from Professor Rangajaran. We also have something called the National Collaborative Research Infrastructure Scheme, and that is where it is sort of one big thing that is funded. So, for example, there's a project in Victoria called the Synchrotron, and all people can access that one project. So funding for research comes from a variety of places, but I just wanted to speak a little bit about what the Australian government is doing to move from basic research to applied research and to commercialise that research, which will help solve those global challenges and those existential challenges that we have been facing. So our mission-based research models are increasing as they have done overseas, and so I'll speak a little bit about what Australia is doing on the Economic Accelerator, the Trailblazer Universities and our National Reconstruction Fund. So Australia's Economic Accelerator and our Trailblazer Universities, it's committed to making sure that our basic research can move up those TRL levels to commercialise and translate that research. So our Trailblazer Universities program is almost $400 million to 6 universities to build world-leading research commercialisation and capability in strategic priority areas. And I think it actually looks a little bit like India's IIT's Inventive that Professor Murty spoke about earlier. So these Trailblazer areas across the 6 universities include space, recycling and resources technology, and it's $45 million as well to partner with our research agency, the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organisation, plus 166 partners across Australia. So we really are focusing on those partnerships. As my colleague mentioned earlier about Australia's Economic Accelerator, this is a new priority-driven competitive grant program which is designed to bridge that valley of death between basic research and commercialisation. The Economic Accelerator is set to look at those areas that have been identified under the government's National Reconstruction Fund. So these activities will be used for translation and commercialisation activities to demonstrate proof of concept, validate the research in a laboratory or real-world environment, develop and test prototypes and correspond to TRLs 3 to 7, so that middle valley of death. In terms of our National Reconstruction Fund, the government has developed that as a result of the COVID pandemic. In this instance, I would love to hear from other colleagues about the trends that are driving other countries' research priorities. So I think a lot of the priorities under our National Reconstruction Fund are common to many of our countries, and they include defence, space, advanced manufacturing, medical science, critical tech, including AI, mining science technology, and recycling and clean energy. So the government's committed $15 billion to establish this NRF, and it'll be financing and off-balance sheet, so it'll be loans and equity investments to support those projects in priority areas. And part of the NRF is close collaboration with industry, so we bring along that practical and that applied research. In terms of emerging and disrupting technologies, the focus in AI is a real priority for Australia. So AI is being deployed across the economy and society to solve problems such as monitoring brain aneurysms and improving the management of fruit orchards. So there's so many applications. Australia has announced it's establishing a national expert task force to develop an evidence-based best practice framework to guide schools in harnessing AI tools in classrooms to support both teaching and learning. So we're starting early. Now, obviously, this collaborative, cross-cutting, theme priority-driven research does not come without challenges and risks. Australia is committed to staying at the forefront of emerging technologies while assuring that risk management. We actually developed some principles for research integrity, which we put up through APEC, which provides a common language around research integrity and enables mobility and exchange of research between APEC economies. So we have to continue to manage these risks in emerging and disruptive technologies, including the potential for foreign interference in our research institutions. We all want research to be conducted responsibly, ethically and with integrity. And the Australian Government has a research integrity policy to support and safeguard the confidence in the value of publicly funded research. The Government's obviously working really closely with our university sector and our research agencies, and we're monitoring developments in emerging technologies to also ensure this data is used and managed in appropriate ways. So, in conclusion, I really look forward to hearing about what other countries are doing, looking forward to collaborate with other G20 countries. Thank you again to our Indian hosts for having us here today and to Khalsa College. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wonderful, very good, great. Incidentally, Australia, when the wool industry was disrupted in the early 20th century, David Unipon, an Aboriginal inventor, his photograph was printed on the $50 Australian bill. David Unipon, who developed the shearing machine for shape, his photograph was printed on the $50 bill. And that is the way to celebrate disruptive innovations. So I would just like to say that when India has launched 104 satellites in a single launch at a cost, and Mangalyaan, which you saw earlier mentioned, $74 million when no other country did $1 billion. We have strengths of this kind in each country, even how to celebrate innovations. And I think we need to learn from them. Thank you so much. Professor Raghu Raman from the Amrita University, you could speak from here.
Thank you very much, and just wanted to say thanks to Sri Sanjay Murthy sir, Higher Education Secretary, for giving this wonderful opportunity. I'm an academician, but representing C20. And for those of you who are wondering what is C20, the Civil 20, or the NGOs, the non-profit making entities, I think their contribution is also very important. Honorable Prime Minister has nominated Chancellor of the University, Amma, to be the chair of the C20. And I think a couple of speakers talked about collaboration, government, academia, industry. Somewhere that C20 part was missing, the Civil 20. So I'm here to a little bit talk about it. I think enough has been said about Industry 4.0, advanced technologies, automation, artificial intelligence, cyber-physical systems, IoT, machines and products being the core of Industry 4.0. I think slightly a different perspective, and probably an urgent one also, is how do we look at Industry 4.0 in the context of social and environmental aspects? I think speakers touched on the topic of SDGs. I think many people are talking the social and environment with Industry 4.0 to be an Industry 5.0. I think along with foundational skills, critical thinking, problem solving, collaboration, we need to develop skills like empathy, compassion, emotional intelligence, to work collaboratively with both machines and people. Students, of course, have to develop skills in circular economy principles, renewable and affordable energy, sustainable design. But they also need to be able to understand and work with the ethical implications of technology. You know, ChatGPT is a storm, and everybody is discussing how to adapt to it. So such a great emphasis is needed on human-machine collaborations and the integration of social and environmental considerations. I want to share a small best practice that happens at Amrita University, Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham. Amma is also the Chancellor of the university. Now, we call it education for living and education for life. For us, education for life means developing students' qualities so that they go beyond understanding the language of machines. How do you develop a culture of heart, a culture of giving, the spirit of sharing. And we have a program, a best practice that I would like, of course, many institutions in India is aware of it, but other G20 countries as well as to look at it. It's called Amrita Living Lab. So what we have done, we have adopted, the institution has adopted close to about 148 communities in about almost all the states of the country. Now the idea here is the students would go live in these communities for a minimum of 4 weeks, but sometimes it goes up to a couple of months as well. And here you work with the local community to co-develop, co-design solutions that are sustainable. And what we have found is, it is not so much that the students and teachers have helped the community that they were living. It is more the students who gained. How much the people in the rural communities are able to live happily, and is there ways that we can learn from them? It is more about that compassion that gets generated in their hearts because of this living. So certainly with emphasis on social and environmental responsibility, we also want to directly align with multiple SDGs. There is another session that talks about sustainable development goals. In fact, a small statistic, if you look at global South countries, and for a moment you exclude China from that list, India is actually a leader in research in SDGs. Which SDGs? In fact, it's even ahead of some states like Germany and Australia and Canada in a certain way. Our research is very strong in SDG 3 in good health, affordable energy on SDG 7, quality education 13. So here is absolutely an area that India can provide leadership when we talk about Industry 4.0 and social and ethical considerations. At the closing, what I would say, with our values very deeply ingrained in Indian culture, India can offer a very unique example of compassion-driven research, an approach to the rest of the world, and can be a huge advantage in the development of new and disruptive technologies that prioritize human well-being, as well as sustainability. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Raghuraman. Creativity, compassion, collaboration. These are the three key words which will guide our future search for pathways of collaboration during the G20 platform. I'll request now Professor Piers Purdy. Is that right pronunciation? Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are my audio levels? Good? Great. First, a huge thank you, echoing what my international colleagues have said before me. Thank you so much for such great hospitality and putting us in such a great venue, and for organising a really good agenda for the next few days. I'd also like to thank the keynote speakers we had this morning. I was really pleased to hear, when talking about research and innovation, it's great to be talking about the technologies themselves, but it's also really important to be talking about the policy around technology. So hearing open science, open data being discussed, and regulations as well. And G20 is really somewhere where we can collaborate on that policy around science. I'll talk about that a little bit shortly. My name's Piers Purdy. I'm from the UK. I am working in our new Department for Science, Innovation and Technology. It's a really exciting time to be working in the UK government on science and technology at the moment. Last week, we announced our new science and technology framework, which builds on the 120-page innovation strategy we published a couple of years ago, which makes quite good bedtime reading given its length, but in it there's some really important ideas and policies around how we plan to approach disruptive tech, both domestically, internationally, and through collaboration with multilateral fora like G20. And I'm going to very quickly go through some of that and hopefully, Chair, answer some of the points that you kind of laid out helpfully for us at the beginning. First of all, it's been really key for the UK to identify its priorities in emerging tech. To do that, it's gone through quite a lengthy process, looking at 50 technologies, applying a set of 8 criteria such as market potential and market potential sustainability. And it's a repeatable process that we will go through annually to review our priorities. And we've identified AI, quantum, engineering, biology, future telecoms, and semiconductors as where we will focus a lot of our efforts on emerging tech. And we've also identified 9 levers through which to kind of focus our energies, and international collaboration is one of them. We've committed to spending £22 billion annually on R&D. But as I said at the beginning, it's not just about the funding levels that are going in, but so much about the policy that supports the R&D system. We're really proud in the UK to do a lot of work on creating innovative regulation to guide the R&D system. It's really important to have innovative, friendly regulation to create markets, support quick and safe deployment of technology, and to reduce risk, investment risk particularly, to support that commercialization process. And we're doing a lot of work in the field of AI on regulation. Talent and skills is obviously a really important point, and that's been touched on today. Commercialization, as I kind of mentioned before, we're doing a lot at the regional level as well as the national level to connect universities, government, policymakers, industry, and also civil society, and creating an ongoing feedback loop within those networks and putting money into it as well, such as our £125 million Connecting Capability Fund. But really, a lot of what I'm talking about today is the start of an ongoing feedback loop and dialogue with the sector around how to develop strategies for each of those technologies, and ensuring that we're also being innovative with our funding approaches, trying to deliver as low bureaucracy as possible to get money out there as quickly as possible. On the international front, the UK recently in Japan launched its £119 million International Strategic Partnerships Fund. And this is really key for us to support collaboration in those 5 priority technologies that I talked about, being targeted, challenge-led, but also, as Alison was talking about, secure, and that's really important. Also, that fund is going to help us work towards societal and global collaborations like clean energy, extreme weather, and health, but also work with partners across the world on SDGs. And there's also some money going towards capacity building, which is really, really important. The people side of all of this, along with the policy, is essential. But the bit I really want to promote today is the work that the UK does in fora with, like G20, with partners around the world on thought leadership and on creating opportunities for dialogue. Thought leadership in areas such as using free trade agreements, like the one we have with Australia, creating new innovation chapters, really developing those, working with partners in dialogue in places like G20 on working out how to use FTAs to create more innovation-friendly environments at both ends. Cutting-edge regulatory approaches like the one I mentioned. We can do a lot in the UK domestically to support our R&D system, but it's really great to come to venues like this and fora like this to discuss regulation and how we're all working together in our own spheres to develop it and learning from each other. So best practice there. And lastly, open science. It's incredibly important in so many ways for delivering equitable research outcomes, particularly on the global sphere, resilient networks and resilient research systems, and ultimately better research outcomes as it allows for diffusion of research outcomes and reusability, which is really important. But what I think G20 can really do is create that dialogue between the domestic sphere and the global north and the global south to really start talking about how we can translate a lot of these kind of policies, R&D policies, translate them, develop them together, and ultimately land them. So that's all I really wanted to say today, but just really pushing the G20 as a great forum for us all to get together and talk about a lot of that policy for science, not just the actual science and tech itself. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Piers. Your stress on open science is very much in conformity with what Indian priorities are. India believes in open data, and we have a very major initiative of making the data of public funded research to be open access. It is also important that when we talk about disruptive technologies, for training our AI tools, we need large data sets. And it is one area where collaboration among G20 would help to develop solutions that will apply in different countries without being culturally biased, because they will be trained in dark-skinned human beings versus fair-skinned human beings, you know? So those tools will then not have biases, which today most tools have because they are trained on one particular set of data. So I think this open science and open data is a very important, and I would like my own colleagues from Indian institutions to also please take lead in this regard as to how we can help the Ministry of Higher Education in building a leadership position in terms of openness in data. I will now request Nicholas Viretti, please.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much for the great welcome that we received again once more since yesterday we arrived. Thank you also for giving us the opportunity to exchange in such a wonderful place and historical building. It has been said, but I thanks also very much the previous speakers and in particular the keynote speakers for their you want to do it like this? Okay. So thank you, yes, for the talk that we had already this morning. Like, of course, in many other countries, in France, the support to disruptive and emerging technologies is among top priorities of the government in research and national innovation. I'm going here briefly to try to be as brief as possible to present the recent French initiative in this domain. So first, this support is twofold: basic funding on one side and program-based funding. Since we don't have so much time, I will skip the basic funding part, which is not that innovative, I would say. But just to say that, of course, as everywhere, there are many public research organizations which receive huge fundings on disruptive technologies, research on emerging and disruptive technologies. I just want to mention one that maybe is not so well known, the French Alternative Energies and Atomic Energy Commission, CEA, which is the leading patent granting research organization in France and one of the leading one also in Europe, with more than 7,000 active patent families this year, and every year 700 new patents. Okay, I said I skipped, so I will skip that. Complementary to the support for institutions, national authorities have developed a large panel of dedicated programs these last years, and in particular post-COVID, providing financial support to knowledge transfer and industrial research. And we have France 2030, 5 years out of more than 50 billion euros investment plan aiming to sustainably transform the key sector of our economy, energy, automotive, aeronautics or space, through research, innovation and industrial investment. The challenge is to help the research organizations, universities and enterprise to successfully transition in these strategic sectors and respond to major existing challenges. 50% of the France 2030's credits are dedicated to emerging stakeholders with environmentally friendly innovations and 50% to decarbonize the actual economy. So the main goal is to manufacture better, live better, and consume better, with 6 levers which has been established to reach these objectives. These levers being raw materials, components, digital technologies, talent and innovation funding, development of higher education, research and innovation ecosystems. France 2030 supports a number of schemes focusing on public-private partnership for innovation. It has been said this morning, I think, by Professor Rangarajan. This kind of research has to be inter-organizational. In France, it takes the place of creation of institutes, which are thematic and interdisciplinary teleclinical research institutes set up for industrial competitiveness. They're built research program-based and co-locate researchers on the state-of-the-art technological platforms and industrials. They are by definition multi-partners. So I won't quote all the teams, but they are in the digital technology, microbiology, of course, industry 4.0, nanoelectronics, aeronautics space. And also, France 2030 supports national strategies focusing on key areas and covering the entire innovation chain, from basic research to industry and education. They are intended to cover an innovation entire life cycle, from the emergence of the original idea in a research laboratory or university to its commercialization, to fill this valley of death that we talked about this morning. So this includes all the university training required by tomorrow's scientists and entrepreneurs, and all the essential collaboration projects between laboratories and companies. There is 15 key markets which has been identified, requiring accelerated development and massive investment. And of course, several of these markets specifically target disruptive and emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, quantum technologies for 5Gs, decarbonation of the industries, health and medical devices, etc. Again, I don't have time to detail, so we will detail later if necessary. In order to complete existing schemes, our France Minister of Higher Education and Research, Sylvie Retailleau, recently announced that the ministry is preparing a plan dedicated to risky research, blue sky research, with high scientific risk as well as strong potential for scientific, technological and economical breakthrough. All the French orientation are also very much linked with European policies of innovation, of course. If one takes the France quantum strategy, for example, it is more broadly part of the European dynamic to develop the first hybrid computer prototype equipped with the quantum accelerator of at least 100 qubits on the sites of the very large computing center near Paris, Brière-la-Chapelle. This platform will be the first step towards a European quantum hub capable of fully exploiting these new computing capacities. At European level, you know that, but how do we cooperate? There is mostly the Multi-Annual Research and Innovation Program, Horizon Europe, which has amongst its priority to support emerging and disruptive technologies as well as Industry 4.0. Horizon Europe, I guess you know what it is. If not, we have the representative of EU delegation here who will explain. But just before concluding, I would like to mention the newly created European program, which is a pathfinder of the European Innovation Council, which focuses on high-risk research with the objective of developing radically new technologies through collaborative research. I think here we all agree that the collaborative research across countries is the key to succeed to tackle the global issues. I had the chance last month, in fact, to welcome Professor Serge Haroche, Nobel laureate in physics in 2012, if I remember well, for his research in quantum physics. And as he was pointed out, nothing would have been possible for him and for the field without international cooperation, and we have to remember that. And I'm sure that G20 has obviously a role to play to show the path. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nicholas, as you know, India is the hotbed of frugal innovations. We are the leader, global leader in frugal innovation. What you can do in $1, we do in ₹1. Whatever you do in $1 or 1 franc, euro, we do in ₹1. That's the cost advantage that India has all the climates. India has all the climates. So if you want to do research on climate resilience, we will provide you the most diverse. We have cold desert, we have hot desert, we have temperate, we have tropical, we have cyclone-prone regions, we have other placid Bay Bengal. So we have different kinds of weathers, different kinds of ecosystems, and I think G20 should consider India as a lab where we can all come together and do research. Now we will open discussion to everybody in the hall. We will take 4 or 5 questions in view of the time constraint. But I think you have all been listening so patiently. It is time for you to speak and make a very short question, short comment, so that some of the panelists can respond. Anybody, please. Anybody wants to raise a question or a comment on anything that panelists have said about how disruption will be organized, steered, managed? Yes, please. Can you take the mic, please?
Sir.
Yes, good morning. My name is Perik Fino-Ashida. I am head for the European Union and the head of delegates. Actually, there was a very interesting comment made earlier on we are not disrupting education. So could the panel come back on this? Because it's not clear, especially number one, there are some disruptive technologies that are helping education. Massive online learning that we experienced during COVID, AI to replace teachers, tele education. The second pendant to the question is, if we are not disrupting education, how in countries like South Africa, especially the Global South, how are we going to go to the mass? We in the EU have little markets, for education, but you have massive markets. So my belief is that you have to teach us, maybe we can team up, but you have to teach us what is needed. So I have two questions. I repeat. Number one, can we go without disrupting education? And number two, what do you need in the Global South?
Very good question. Anybody would like to take the first shot at this? Alison, you? The question was, for disruptive technologies, we need to disrupt education system. And if, in that case, what are your proposals? What kind of disruption are you looking forward to? Disruption in pedagogy or teaching or content or education system policy you are looking forward to?
Is this on? Okay. So that is a very curly question. And I think disruptive technologies obviously are evolving all the time. And I think we've seen ChatGPT come out most recently, and there's a debate going on in Australia about whether schools and institutions adopt that and use that to their advantage or whether they ban it. So I guess personally, I still have young children, so I am looking forward to seeing how they handle the disruptive technologies that are coming. And I think with ChatGPT, for example, it is an opportunity, but it has to be managed carefully.
Very right, because it can give you false leads. It can mislead you sometimes. And our children sometimes believe that something coming out from AI tool must be right. So their faith in their teacher may go down and their faith in these tools may go up, and that may cause a lot of harm to our thinking process. Anybody else would like to react? Anybody else from the audience? Please go ahead. Kindly introduce your name.
Yes.
It's on.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Maya Mahajan from Amrita University, Coimbatore campus. I would like to share some experience that we are conducting a community development program in different kinds of forests for tribals. We are trying to train them to develop furniture using lantana weed. But what I understood that this kind of what all innovative projects we are doing, they are in pockets, like we are not able to scale up. So how can we bring global network into this? How can we scale up this? This is my first question. Second question, when we are talking about technologies, many times technology itself has created lots of disturbance in environment. So we need to be very careful about what technologies we are talking about, because when we use one technology, we have to find out other technology to solve the problem which we have created because of first technology. Third thing, I would like to share my experience with tribal communities. When I was trying to teach them that produce more, earn more, in the process, I learned that, yes, we want to produce, we want to learn new, innovative technologies. They were ready to learn how to make furniture out of lantana. We could do that. But at the same time, they told me that don't teach us running behind money or marketing. We would like to leave peaceful life in forest. We don't want to be so greedy. So I could learn something from them, that how to live sustainable life. What is meaning of sustainable life, I could learn from them. So I thought I should share these 3 experiences to this forum. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a really interesting example of kind of grassroots innovation. And I just wanted to share a thought I had around the G20 forum in particular, in the sense that G20 provides a huge opportunity, obviously, to bring this group of countries and additional ones together to talk about how to boost this type of innovation. But it also comes with challenges in that we don't come with a huge amount of funding, and it's very difficult to kind of set up programs and things like this. But what it can do, and I think one thing that is something for the entire group to take forward, is how to map out and how to set up structures so that funding is easier to access. There is a huge amount of global funding available for innovation, but there are so many processes to go through and ways of collaborating that are not clear to many who are on the ground looking to find funding. So I think there potentially is a role for the G20 group in research and innovation, whether it fits under the educational, whether it fits under another track, but to really support and start mapping out access to funding in areas like the Global South, but globally really, to support examples like this. So that's just one point I wanted to share.
Thank you so much. We'll have to wind up. We have saved 15 minutes, so we are doing fine. NPTEL, for example, is a wonderful initiative of Indian higher education institutions where they have made large number of courses taught by the top institutions, IIT, ISC, open source. So I think this could be a good initiative where disruptive technologies can use translation language skills to convert content from different countries of good quality courses and make it available to G20 members. So that, I would say, is one area where disruption can take place. We will have to now.
Yes. Thank you all for this wonderful panel discussion. Now I would request Professor Rajiv Ahuja to felicitate all the panelists. Sir, can you come one by one? First, we would invite Professor Anil Gupta. Thank you, sir, for moderating the session. Next, Ms. Alison Dell. Nicholas Garardi. Professor Raghuraman. Sir, please. Mr. Pierce Purdy. Thank you all. Now I request all the panelists to take their respective seats in the audience. Moving on for the second panel discussion on Research in Sustainable Development Goals, we have Professor Shalini Bharat, Director, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, as the chair and moderator. Ma'am, kindly join us on the stage. I would like to submit to all the respected panelists and the chair that we are expecting the Honorable Chief Minister Yung, representing People's Republic of China. We welcome you, sir. Representing Oman, Dr. Badr Ali Al-Hinai. Yes. Sir, kindly. Representing South Africa, Mr. Alfred Makhato. Representing United Arab Emirates, Dr. Hind Al-Tair. And representing UNICEF, Mr. Nicholas Rug. I invite all of you to join us on the stage. I would also request the chair to keep the session to a 20 minutes discussion.
Sat Sri Akal, Namaste, good afternoon. It's such a privilege and honor to be in the Golden City, Amritsar, and in this historic college, the Khalsa College. To all the dignitaries, a warm welcome from India. As we were walking in, and as you may have walked around, you may have seen the quote by Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, which says, "Climate change, terrorism and pandemics can only be solved by acting together." I think it sums up what we are here for, talking about partnerships, collaborations. And the theme of this panel session is research on SDGs. The adoption of SDGs is an imperative resulting from a global social, economic, and geopolitical order that has changed our world forever. It's clear that existing knowledge base is not enough to find solutions to the new set of challenges that require inter- and multidisciplinary knowledge across all sciences, including social sciences and humanities, of which we have heard very little this far, supported and enabled by technology, digital platforms, and so on. In addition, we need to bring ethics, moral commitment, and community into the knowledge and action discourse if we wish to create a more sustainable and equitable society, to ensure that the voices of the most vulnerable are heard, and we realize the goal of leaving no one behind as the underlying philosophy of the SDGs. The academic profession and higher education institutions are key to knowledge production, its dissemination, and the transfer of that knowledge into action, and from action back into knowledge and still more knowledge production. And this cyclical continuity ensures academic vibrancy. But knowledge production requires industry support. Can you have the next slide, please? Knowledge production requires industry support through fundraising, while knowledge implementation requires state support through policy. Who's making the slide? Okay. And all three need to be coming together to drive research, innovation, and in an inclusive way for humanity and society. But for far too long, and in most parts of the world, we have had this situation where universities, industry, society, state are in silos. They work as in isolation. They may do some collaboration within, but not across. And in some places, then we would have dyadic collaborations between two entities, but not across. And what we need is going all the way to the right-hand side, the transformation where university, academia, industry, and society are in collaboration, but for what purpose? And that is a very multidimensional kind of a situation where we work for issues in the society. For example, demographic dynamics is happening, digital transformation is taking place, and the climate change sustainability issues are there. At the core of it is equity and access. And how do we move towards this? While each SDG focuses on an immensely critical theme, it is the collective goals that will guide us towards social and environmental sustainability, and collaborations and partnerships would be the key to achieving this. So as we move into the panel discussion, where we have 5 panelists, and I would like them to talk for about 4 to 5 minutes each, the overarching theme or the overarching question I would raise to them is, what kind of innovative, inclusive academic structures and systems can be created by the G20 countries to promote collaborative research that will have the potential and the best potential to achieve SDGs with equity and excellence at their core. So I would go back and pose this question to you. So the first speaker is Dr. Badr Ali Al-Hinai from Oman, General Director of Scientific Research. Please take 4 to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to take this opportunity to express our deepest gratitude and appreciation to the people of India for their great hospitality and well organization of this seminar. Today, I am going to highlight the research and sustainable goals from the Oman's perspective in terms of Vision 2040 and National Strategy of Innovation and Research Development. But first, let me highlight this. In 2015, Oman became one of the member states that recognized and adopted Sustainable Development Goals. And right away, these goals were integrated into main pillars of the 9th and 10th National 5 Development Plans. Also, in 2019, the first voluntary review of Oman was prepared to look at the achievements of Sustainable Development Goals of the Sultanate of Oman, as well to highlight the challenges facing the implementation. In Oman's Vision 2040, there are 12 priorities, and the first priority is the inclusive education, sustainable learning, and scientific research that leads to a knowledgeable society and a competitive national capabilities. This priority is directly linked to the Sustainable Development Goals number 4, quality education, and number 8, decent work and economic growth, and number 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So to ensure these goals are achieved, the Ministry of Higher Education developed 3 main programs that directed to the government and directed to the industry and directed to the academia. For example, if we take about the programs that directed to the government, it's called strategic research programs. The objective of this program is to build and develop national research capacity in strategic areas, finding scientific solutions to national challenges by generating new knowledge, scientific cooperation, and building national partnership between relevant institutions for research and scientific cooperation. The second program is directed to the academic sector. It's called block funding. This program is continuation of the Open Research Grants program that started in 2009 with the aim of building researchers' capacity by funding their research project across the research interest. And the program that is directed to the industrial sector is called EJAD. It is a mediator. It is an electronic platform. It mediates between the industry and business sector on the one hand and the academic sector on the other hand, aiming to develop the research into new technologies and innovation products. Of course, we have 2 enabling environments for research. One is a digital platform and one is physical infrastructure. When we talk about the physical infrastructure, it is an innovation park, Muscat, IPM. It is in the central of Muscat. It facilitates, they provide a number of services with an integrated system, stimulate environment for research and the development of ideas, and fundamental pillar for the transformation towards an innovation-based knowledge economy. It has 4 main pillars: health, water, environment, energy, and food and biodiversity. This science park is about 500,000 square meters, and the first phase is completed already, and it contains innovation center, manufacturing and prototyping center, social center, and everyone is welcome to visit the place. And it has some features that to attract international universities and companies, because it's the exemption 15 years of tax, and that can be extended to another 25. The land is 2 real per square meter, and I can get to all these details later if interested. Okay. Thank you. And the other platform is the Open Research portal. It has many platforms, such as the Oman Research and Education Network, Oman Virtual Science Library, Oman Research Repository called Shu'a, Ijdad, Research Data Survey and Equipment, and other electronic platforms. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hinai, for sharing some of the strategic research programs and processes in your country. I'd like to now invite Mr. Nicholas Ruge, head of the UNICEF delegation. Over to you.
Can you hear me? Sure. So I think my presentation will echo a little bit what my colleague Boren from UNESCO said, and I think also it will give an insight to the question of the head of the EU delegation about how to be disruptive in education. So let me first present what is the position of UNICEF in research and evidence generation. So in 2019, UNICEF adopted the new global education strategy, and with 3 intended strategic shifts, namely system strengthening, innovation, and data production, dissemination, and use. In addition to which partnership remains a very, very, very important component of implementation and research. So the idea is that we are in the development world the most decentralized organization with 1,000 education staff present in 150 countries, 7 regional offices, and 5 HQ locations. So there is a need to really leverage this field presence in order to strengthen the power of evidence and the use of evidence in order to strengthen education sector planning processes and a better programming process. So basically all HQ colleagues, country office colleagues, regional office colleagues should be engaged in that, and at HQ level there is at least 3 teams working collaboratively on education, research and evidence generation. So then this was adopted in 2019, and then came COVID. So we could have thought it will stop, it will be a standby. But I think it was just an incubator, because a lot of focus of HQ work was reoriented on evidence generation. So during the year 2020, 2021 and 2022, we did a lot of publication jointly with some colleagues of UNESCO, World Bank and other agencies. But it was really, really amazing the level of knowledge product we were able to produce, up to major academic publication, including one special issue on education response to COVID-19, published with the International Journal for Educational Development, which was a hit according to the IJED editors, because it was downloaded at least 50 times per day during 1 year. So hence the necessity to co-brand, co-create, and not being UNICEF only, but also really partners with other institutions, including academic institutions and research journals. So our focus today is what? First, I would say the focus of UNICEF is twofold. There is the global level agenda on the SDG 4, so all the follow-up of the SDG agenda, Transforming Education Summit, moving toward the SDG Summit in September, moving toward the Summit of the Future in September 2024. And all this in relation to what we call the RAPID framework. RAPID framework is, how do we transform, education? How do we move from education recovery to education transformation? So RAPID stands R for reach and retain, A for assess learning level, P for promoting FLN, functional literacy and numeracy. I is increased catch-up learning, and D is developed all what is surrounding the learning process, meaning mental health and psychosocial support, child protection initiative, and other services that can be provided through the school platform. Second thing, we believe that the research should be operational. The research should be really serving education sector planning processes to be more evidence-based programming. So we have several initiatives like the Data Must Speak initiative. So how do we better use the data collected at central level in order to better influence the decision-making process down to the school level? I will talk about education sector analysis process with a focus on resilient education system or inclusive education with children with disability, innovation, learning passport, which is an amazing platform, distance learning platform that offers different situations according to different solutions according to different contexts. So the idea is really to use the evidence to better inform programming in those areas of work. And the next point is the importance of the strengthened collaboration in that regard. We have the global head of education in UNICEF strongly believes in co-branding. So meaning that there is ideas of co-creation, not moving alone as a UNICEF, but working with UN agencies, development partners, and also academic institutions and research centers. So, and this evidence generation component should be really embedded from the project design and not be, ex post the project implementation, because it works better if it is, planned at the beginning of the project implementation. So few initiatives. I would talk about the FLN Hub, which is an initiative trying to promote, a solution for improving functional literacy and numeracy, which is a collaboration between UNICEF, Pratham, Delivery Associate, JPAL, and there is a strong evidence section which builds on the strong evidence and knowledge product by JPAL, as well as all the evidence generated through the B Square, World Bank, UNICEF investment on the smart buys. EdTech Hub, how to be disruptive in education. So it's global research partnership to empower people with the evidence needed in order to take decisions about, what kind of technologies to include in education program. GIGA as well. GIGA is school mapping for connectivities. It includes as well a research component. And the Learning Passport, which is a partnership with Microsoft, which intend to promote digital learning, whether offline, online. So I would say, I will conclude just saying here, very important co-creation, partnership, all what we did during COVID and after wouldn't have been possible without two things. First of all, the partnership, either with UN agencies, development partner, academic institution, research center, but also open access, really important. And I doubt that our IJED education special issue during COVID would have had such a hit if it was restricted access to membership only. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nicholas. This is an example, a very good example of development partners and academia partnership, and there is so much to learn from this partnership. I'd like to now invite from UAE, Dr. Hen El Tayar. I hope I have pronounced your name there. Okay, please, over to you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, esteemed guests. My name is Hind Al-Tayr. I am the director of the Department of Science, Technology and Scientific Research at the Ministry of Education in the UAE. I would like first to extend my thanks to India for the extension of invitation to the UAE to be part of this meetings and for organizing an exceptional and momentum event. It's an honor to be here today to speak about the UAE research in the Sustainable Development Goals. The UAE recognizes the crucial role that research and development play in driving progress and innovation. It is for this reason that the Emirates Research and Development Council has been established toward the end of 2021 with the leadership of His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. The ERDC poses diverse members from these three sectors: the government, the private, and the academic sectors. It entails 4 committees, which include the R&D policies, the commercialization, the human capital, and the ecosystem performance. The Council works to develop a national strategy for research and development that aligns with the UAE overall vision and goals and national strategies. The research in the SDGs areas in the United Arab Emirates is of utmost importance to the nation's progress and prosperity, with increased investment and dedication to improve the quality of life of the citizens so that sustainable development is across all goals can set a benchmark for a region as a whole. More specifically, if we talk about the research in the UAE that is being encouraged to further contribute to the 2030 agenda for the sustainable development, as research, as we know, that can reveal the untapped resources and the untapped market and help direct the resources for more efficiently to these areas. It can also be used to monitor the industry and to anticipate the potential risks and responding accordingly, like what happened with the COVID-19. The national committees on SDG ensures the support and engagement of all stakeholders from the different entities and toward the collaboration between the research institutions and the government departments are established. They are establishing a framework and roadmaps for furthering the SDG research in the UAE. If we want to have a closer look into the scholarly output of UAE and the 17th SDG goals separately and comparing it with the average of the scholarly output of the world, as per 2022, UAE shows obvious scholarly output in 7 main goals, like doubling the amount of the average of the research in the world. And those are the SDG 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 12 and 13. If we look on the other side at the impact of the research, there is a significant impact as per the field-weighted citation impact in the SDG 16, 2, 3, and 5. With these numbers, I'm concluding my talk. I don't want to talk more time. And once again, I'm very grateful for this opportunity and great appreciation for India for this kind of invitation and hosting this wonderful event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for keeping to time and for really taking a very analytical view of all this 17 SDGs so that we are probably not keeping everything in focus all at the same time. Thank you so much. We now move to China. Mr. Deong Yuan, over to you.
Okay. Good morning. Yes, good morning. And well, it's very glad to be here, and it's my honor because it's my first time to join the G20 conference in education, and also it's my first time to arrive in India. And this is very good events. Thank you for all the colleagues and prepare this very good, successful event. I'm Da Yong from China. I'm working as the university professors. When I got this invitation, I'm thinking what kind of topic I should contribute. Finally, I got this topic. What can universities do for the future of G20 education collaborations? And here, my presentation will include 3 parts. The first is my ideas, and the second is the policy. The third is the suggestions. I will go follows. First, the ideas. Well, the sustainable development for universities is important, and also is kind of the driving forces for the progress of human society. And it's kind of university is the spiritual home. All the ideas coming here. And our moderator, or the chair today, is from the social science director. It's very good, not only technology, because education needs to face-to-face, needs to feel each other. And for thousands of years, university continue to solve all kinds of problems, not only technology, but also human society. Universities have become its kind of indispensable driving forces for the progress of human society, and we should make clear what's the meaning of the sustainable development in this context. For the UNESCO, we have 17 SDGs, and well, university can contribute a lot. I use three terms. The first term is university as the sustainable development. The second term is university of sustainable development. And the third one is the university for, so as, of, and for. Well, traditionally, university take the mission, the teaching, research, and community service. And also, we have the responsibility of the kinds of cultural heritage. And also, the most important one recently is international collaborations. Within these missions, universities should and have the unique part of the society, and itself must be more practical measures to ensure the sustainable development can be happened in reality. And this requires us to understand not only the meaning, but also the internal and the deep, and also the external relations with the university, with the society, and also with the industry. And understanding and development the rules and the laws of the university itself to ensure the sustainability can be happened as a university. That's the S. And also of. What it means University of Sustainable Development? It is to regard sustainable as the basic ideology of education and teaching, as well as the responsibility to integrate the concept into the teaching materials, to the documents, to the our textbook, like the student to know it, and became the systematically a part of the values, the basic theories, the basic knowledge, and basic skills for all the students. So that's our three ideas of the sustainable development and university. And I will take some examples, what we did in Chinese context. And in Chinese context, sustainable development is quite popular here in China. And we sometimes using these two terms inside. One term is the quality. Quality is important. Not only quality, but also the high quality. And the other term is the equality. Equality. That's the two sides of one thing. And well, I will take some example. We built just the previous session, we mentioned a lot about technology. We built a technology platform system. In the past 10 years, the Chinese university built more than 6% of the, which we call the key library of this nation. And we got most of the fundings of the social science as well. And there are more than 1,500 platforms built within this country. I'm sure most of the other G20 countries as well. University gets more fundings, not only scientific research, but also the social science research. And also, in China, we spent more than 40% of the more than 40% of academians and nearly 70% of the national outstanding science funds have gathered and funded by the university. So it means university gets more fundings. And also, the university covered a lot of the resources, not only the funding, but also we spent a lot of the university R&D research funds in this field. There are some certain numbers, I cannot read it. I have to say it's increased every year, and also nearly 1.74 million international academic conference in the last 10 years. It's a lot number. And also we published 180,000 special reports in the last 10 years. And even we have 883,000 collaborations papers published in the last decades, in the last 10 years. So it's a lot of collaborations. So that means universities do a lot of international collaboration. And the Chinese university focus on the spatial, scientific, and technological, and also social science research. So that's what we did in the last 10 years for Chinese universities. And my final part is what we do. Here's my suggestions. Because today is the G20 education working group, I have spent my experience in other international organizations like UNESCO, for the UN, and others. Well, G20, I know, is the economy-oriented. It's the first time we have this education session. So I suggest perhaps we should establish at least one researching center within the education field. Just now, I remember the colleague mentioned we have the C20, the civil society 20. Maybe we can have the E20, perhaps. Also T20. I know there's T20, it's called think tank 20. So perhaps this is one, the result we can conclude as the final. That's my first suggestion. And the second is the G20 university should focus on the young students, young university students to do some exchange programs. Because I know in European Union, I have the delegates from European Union, you have the Erasmus programs. And in China, Japan, and Korea have this kind of Asian campus. Perhaps in the future, we have G20 campus designed for the future young students exchange. That's my second suggestion. The third one, and also it's about myself, because I'm working as the Beijing Foreign Studies University. It's social science based. It's also the language based. I'm looking forward to collaborate with other countries' universities if you're interested. Finally, the G20 slogan in India is the one Earth, one family, and one future. I have to say it's the one future and also it's the one shared future. I really hopefully in the future we can working together to achieve all these goals. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yuan. You have talked about universities as of and for SDGs, and you really showed us what the ecosystem exists in the country for achieving the SDGs. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to turn to South Africa, Mr. Alfred Magato, for your presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, or good afternoon, esteemed colleagues. I'm Alfred Makato from South Africa. Without any waste of time, from South Africa's perspective, what is guiding us is the white paper on post-schooling education and training, which emphasizes on the research agenda in meeting our national goals. Such also informed in terms of what is it that can be done to ensure that we produce the most needed imperatives or the most needed research that will assist the department or the government in meeting its targets. This also links or interlinks with the intergovernmental relations, whereby the Department of Science and Innovation, together with the Departments of Trade and Industry, as well as the Department of Higher Education and Training, come together in terms of forging a strategy in terms of, thank you. Thank you. For both science and technology, as well as the PSET as a whole, the importance of the interdependent engagement and collaboration to improve South African national systems of innovation and contribute to the lives of South African and obviously to the global knowledge of production of knowledge. So from 2015, the government introduced the research on policy, research output policy, which was also followed by the introduction of policy on the evaluation and creative outputs, as well as innovation. That was also introduced in 2017. Both were to enhance research productivity within the South African landscape and obviously contributing to the partnership as well as international collaborations. The higher education landscape is highly internationalized, which obviously entails the South African University to individually grow as institutional research partners, as well as to cut across with other institutions across the globe. In line with the South African foreign policy, This has advanced university collaboration and exchange with the BRICS countries. And from the 26 universities within the South African landscape, 11 of those are also participating within the BRICS network universities. The BRICS network university collaboration revolves around the 6 key areas or clusters, where we're looking into energy, economics, computer science, information security, ecology and climate change, as well as water resource and pollution treatment. From the 2020, South Africa published a framework for internationalizations on higher education. The primary goal of that policy was to enhance the status of international reputation of South African universities. Obviously, this was done through participation in global research and knowledge networks. The framework also sets out conditions for South African universities for offering cross-border collaboration qualification. Again, it is key to ensure that generally, the general engagement with industries as well as the nature of programs, this is to ensure that there's conduit and the gray areas that exist are also closed. By ensuring that the universities develop or come up with programs as well as research that is earmarked or directed to the global partners as well as industry. This ensures that we are fit for purpose in terms of production of knowledge that is being produced, and obviously with the ultimate aim of ensuring that this is also turned into intellectual properties. So we also came up with a program, the University Capacity Development Program, which enabled an integrated approach of university capacity at universities across 3 focus areas. This is to focus on the student success, staff development, and curriculum development as well. These programs enable collaborative approach to capacitate and develop, enabling universities to work together and beyond the borders of South Africa. Through the university capacity, universities are encouraged to collaborate with local, regional, and intercontinental as well as international partners in capacity development, both for partnership and for partners' benefit. The international partnership include collaboration between South Africa, the United States, as well as the United Kingdom. But obviously not limited to that. There are also other programs such as the Nurturing of Academic Development Program, the Nurturing of Emerging Scholarships Program. That also looks at not only on the global platform, but focusing as well as enhancing partnership on a regional, obviously also taking into the Southern African development countries as well. That partnership is also being enhanced. Ladies and gentlemen, this is also characterized by rapid advances in technologies, such as the automation, robotics, virtual reality, cloud technology, big data, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things. And what we have been seeing before the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Johannesburg joined the United Nations University, we have also advanced towards 3D printing, where that technology is now enhanced to not only focus on enhancing the academia space, but also the livelihood of people within the Republic by also introducing it to ensure that we produce low-cost housing within that particular landscape. Again, to promote digital interface that enable management organization and delivery of education, develop student and staff to use sophisticated information and media technology that becomes available, foster integration of digital components in curriculum development, promote the development research capacity that can use new technologies as we enhance. Ladies and gentlemen, we have also included, just to show from South Africa's perspective, in terms of the growth, in terms of the research publication. Now, we are just above 21,000. So over the number of years, you can see that the number of output that has been published has been on an upward trajectory. And again, this gives an overall picture in terms of where we are and who are the contributors towards the production of knowledge within the South African perspective. At a national level, colleagues, we are sitting at an average of 49.6%. So generally, it means that the knowledge that is being produced, as well as the research that is being produced in a pursuit of new knowledge and new sort of way of thinking, we are almost sitting at 50%, which is obviously, given that we are an emerging nation, is well acknowledged that we are putting efforts in. Colleagues, as I've indicated, that in 2017 we come up with the creative output policy. Again, this is to show that this is where we are in terms of the numbers from inception to where we are now. Again, these are some of the units that were introduced as well as innovation units. Again, from 2017 to where we are, this contributes to the national platform and national database. Ladies and gentlemen, in terms of what the government of South Africa is doing, is that over the past 10 years, you will see that in terms of the rand value, these are billions, obviously equating to where we are currently. We were sitting at 2.7 billion rand, South African rands. Now we're sitting at 5.2 billion. When you quantify it to US dollars, it's like to average of 170 million US dollars on an annual basis. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I needed to put it under the 4 minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Magato, for sharing your experiences. And I can see that you talk about universities at the core of innovation and driving not just that, but also being at the core of livelihood generation and so on, and the impressive figures, which I couldn't see, but I could make out that you were giving some very impressive figures. Now, we've heard all the panelists here. If there is one burning question, we may take it now before we welcome some. Yeah, please. Can you give the mic? Okay, here and then maybe two.
My name is Gunbir Singh and I represent the Khalsa College here.
Yes.
The SDGs were adopted on the 1st of January in 2016, as I understand. In the month of March this year, 2023, we are talking about the need for disruptive technologies, sharing information, which is all very laudable. The SDGs are to be, the target is for 2030. What is the methodology of fast-tracking information flows that you perceive which will actually get action on the ground?
Anyone? He's talking about what will make us fast-track the achievement of SDGs by 2030. Anyone who wants to take up this question? Yes.
Thank you very much for that question.
Answer, yeah.
Basically, the backbone of ensuring that we fast-track the implementation and achievement of the SDGs, in my view and opinion, is to ensure enhanced collaboration. Key to that is how then do we share and enhance the platform or create an enabling condition where knowledge sharing can be enhanced. In so doing, what can be done and taken out of that particular context is the best practices in terms of enhancing and fast-tracking such implementation. In the opening remarks, they mentioned that without women, it becomes extremely difficult because one of the SDGs is women empowerment. Without incorporating or ensuring that we leave no one behind and ensure that we create a conducive environment of equality, that will also contribute in terms of equality. So it's a matter of how or what is it that can be done to ensure that we come together as one and see what is it that is working and how is it being implemented, and where there are areas or regions where there must be disjuncture in terms of the implementation. We come together and identify and iron out those gray areas that exist.
The whole idea of talking about collaborations and partnerships in this session was exactly this, that how do we really leverage the strengths that we have individually, but we may not show in togetherness. But if we are able to look at how we may complement each other's strengths, especially in the North-South, global North-South, and we are beginning to see results of collaborative research, collaborative partnerships, I think is one of the ways, I would say, for fast-tracking. A good question. Maybe another question here.
Good afternoon. This is Dr. Maya Mahajan from Amrita University. My question is whether these SDGs are aligned with our curriculum. whether it is there in curriculum, school curriculum or college curriculum, and even if it is there up to some extent, how it is taught, or like I teach environmental studies because it is a compulsory subject by UGC, but students take it very lightly. They say how many credits are there, and they study only for credits. There is a
We'll take the question, and because we are expecting the guests, so maybe your question is to what extent the SDGs are integrated into the curriculum.
And there is no emotional connect, because how do you need to teach that? Whether it should be through experiential learning, because we study but that is not getting implemented. So whatever head we are breaking here, unless it is implemented in proper way, or unless students take it, there is an emotional connect between what is taught and what actions are taken, nothing is going to be, no change will happen. That is what I want to say.
So anyone who wants to take up this question, would you like to respond? Anyone? Maybe, yeah? Yeah, it's working. Just
Well, I just want to say my comments is not clear maybe. Well, the SDG, there are 17 goals, and this kind of from the UN is from the general ideas. But every country, every nation, they should have their own small missions can accept that. And also, there are some comments before about the first question about technology and education. There's one ideology. It's called accelerationism. It means technology goes so fast we cannot catch up. So sometimes I'm thinking, what's the relation between the technology and education and university? I think we should back to the humanity, like I said just now. All this technology, all these skills, and all these kind of skills can be people-centered. Human is the center. We should not focus on the technology itself. We should back to humanity. That is also what UNESCO, I think it's 2017, this one report, Rethink Education means. Back to humanity and using technology, not technology is the center. This is what I've said.
Thank you. I think we understand that no university or no higher education institution perhaps is saying that all 17 SDG goals are being attempted. But if we look very carefully, perhaps some are doing it not just in curriculum, but perhaps through the extension activities, their exchange programs and so on. At the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, we often think that we are at SDG University because while we may be a social science university, we are talking about almost all the issues in one way or the other, especially when we connect with the communities, and communities are not just about, poor living and so on, but it's all about water issues, the climate change that is affecting them, the health crisis, the education and everything. So communities become a microcosm of the globe, and whatever affects them in a way is all about SDGs, So in that sense, whichever university is working closely with communities is working on SDGs, I would say. But in curriculum, yes, in higher education institutions like ours, curriculum is the SDGs are quite well interwoven into the curriculum also. Now, because of paucity of time, perhaps, we may. Okay, any other question? Yes, please.
Thank you very much for the panel. There were some really interesting contributions there. I just wanted to ask a direct question. We've heard from China a bit about how universities can contribute in the space of research and innovation, but just quite broadly, at this G20 and at the next, what can G20 deliver, practically speaking, in terms of boosting forward the work of R&I towards the SDGs? So are there any practical steps that can be taken within this G20 forum to really strengthen the contribution of science to the SDGs?
if I heard you correct, you were asking about the practical, any practical examples of how...
Suggestions, practical suggestions for how G20 can push science forward
Okay, within the university setups. So anyone within the academic institutions, how any practical examples? Yeah. Well, I would take an attempt. If you look at, as I said, if you're working with, say, informal settlements, you're not just working with issues of people as in, social context, but if you look at how distant issues also affect through climate change, the water scarcity, the kind of, healthcare issues, and I would say expanding on those healthcare issues. And when we look at SDGs, we are really not looking at one particular piece of the SDG. We are looking at livelihoods issues, we are looking at education, we are looking at gender equity, we are looking at violence, and so on. And so trying to attempt to solve a problem, we find that we actually work on various SDGs. At the institute level, or any education institute, if you're talking about, say, environmental issues, you can't just talk about environment as a kind of a homogeneous kind of a concept. You're going to talk about break it into water resources. You're talking about regulatory governance. You're talking about urban planning and so on. In fact, in one of the in one of our campuses, when we are talking about environmental issues, we really realized how the soil degradation is affecting what kind of plant and what kind of flora and fauna is growing there, or what is being sustained there. And it's a very small campus, yet we can see how we can work on various SDGs. But it's an important thing to integrate it into the curriculum. It's beginning to happen in many universities, and I think if there are other educational institution representatives, they will tell you about how curriculum can take care of some of the SDGs, and very practical solutions also. Any other questions? Yes, please.
Thank you very much for all panelists. It's not a question, it's rather a comment on what has been discussed. First, I will start by my neighbor's question here. I think the only fast track to achieve the SDGs is only when countries, governments, take their responsibilities to provide generations with equitable, inclusive, and quality education, without leaving anyone behind. So this is number one. SDGs talks about global challenges, and global challenges need global solutions, and this is why partnership is very important. The last comment is about the last question: how can G20 help in achieving SDGs? I think, as my colleague from China mentioned, the changes in technology are very fast, and it's very hard for education institutions to cope with the fast-changing nature of skills that are caused by the fast-changing of technology. So I believe that education institutions need to do better in research and innovation, and how to teach students how to learn and how to cope. It's hard to for the institutions and schools to achieve that by themselves. We need to teach students how to learn rather than giving them more subjects, giving them more lessons or curricula in an infusion-based approach to curriculum. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I guess very important how to learn. But equally, when we find students coming into higher education institutions, we also teach them how to unlearn, what they have learnt, which probably is, going to challenge them into learning newer concepts. And you talked about quality and capacity building. I'd like to ask you to respond if you would like to.
Okay, I'd like to give very short comments. Well, I think there are two terms can be used in the future to achieve this SDG, so all these 17 mission goals. The first one is lifelong learning, because this is UNESCO's idea, lifelong learning. Well, learning means not only in the school, university, but also in the community, in the families, everywhere. So we have the idea lifelong learning means everywhere, anywhere, anytime to learn something. And also this is quite acceptable for everyone, especially when the technology changing so fast. We should carry on, not only in the school and university. And second term is called ESD, Education for Sustainable Development, and also from UNESCO. It means we should make all these ideas of SDG in this textbook, and like the skills, we have the grid skills, etc. So it's a very systematic project. It's not only, but we should achieve one by one, step by step. But hopefully we can achieve not fully all these goals in 2030, but we can get something. Thank you.
Very quickly. Yeah, just the comment or the question, yes? Yeah, can we have the mic passed on to...
Ma'am?
Yeah? Okay, there is probably no more time, so maybe we'll have to end the session here. Thank you. We thank
Ladies and gentlemen, you can see we have the Honorable Chief Minister of the State, Shri Bhagwat Maan Sahab among us. We welcome you, sir, for being with us today. On behalf of the Indian Institute of Technology, Roper, we appreciate your presence at the second Education Working Group seminar of G20 nations at Khalsa College, Amritsar. Thank you, sir, for joining us. May I now invite Professor Rajiv Ahuja to felicitate our panelists. I would like Professor Shalini Bharat, Director of Tata Institute of Social Science, to come forward. I would request Mr. Dayung Yuan. I would request Dr. Badr Ali Al-Hinani. Mr. Alfred Mathau. Dr. Hen Altair. Mr. Nicholas Roog.
Stay on the stage, please. I'll request the panelists to please stay on the stage. Please stay on the stage. Now you can invite.
I take great pride in inviting the Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Bhagwan Maan Sahab, amongst us. Welcome, sir. Kindly join us onto the stage. I would like to invite Professor Rajiv Ahuja, Director of Indian Institute of Technology, Roper, and Dr. Pushpendra P. Singh, AD, Research and Development at Indian Institute of Technology, Roper, onto the stage. I now would request Dr. Rajiv Ahuja and also invite Dr. Pushpendra P. Singh to felicitate our honorable guest. Sir, kindly. Now, with great joy, I invite the Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Bhagwan Maan Sahab, to say a few words. Over to you, sir.
First of all, I welcome all the delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I deem it my proud privilege and honor to be here amongst the galaxy of eminent personalities representing 19 powerful countries and European Union. So G20 or Group of 20 is an intergovernmental forum working to address major issues related to the global economy such as international financial stability, climate change, mitigation and sustainable development. So I thank the Government of India for choosing the holy city of Amritsar to hold G20 session on education and labor. So as I belong to Punjab, so I will speak Punjabi, Hindi and English mix. I extend a warm welcome to all the delegates present here at the beautiful premises of historical Khalsa College, Amritsar. Amritsar is a holy city and the city is visited by lakhs of people per day for the peace at the Darbar Sahib, Golden Temple, water parade. Education and health is our priority. आज हमारी सरकार को बने हुए 1 साल हो गया. 16th of March 2022, we took the oath and give the guarantee to the people of Punjab that we will form a great foundation of education and health especially, and higher education also. We are planning to open 16 new medical colleges in this Punjab, 30 million of people living here in Punjab. And Punjabis are known for their hospitality. अभी आपने experience किया होगा airport से लेके यहाँ तक. We are very cultured. So we are global citizen also. There are many more Punjabs. Punjab is the only state in the world which has franchise. There is a lot of Punjab in Canada. Surrey is a Punjab. Vancouver is a Punjab. Calgary is a Punjab. Edmonton is a Punjab. Toronto is a Punjab. Even Brampton, Springdale is a Punjab. San Jose is a Punjab. Perth, Sydney, Melbourne, Singapore, Malaysia. सब पंजाबी हैं. And successful Punjabis. Very successful Punjabis. So, we are global citizens. I would like to recall that the holy city was once the prominent center of the trade and commercial activity before the partition, because we are on the border of Pakistan, just 40 kilometers away from Lahore. 40 kilometers only. Culture is same. The culture is same. So, Amritsar was a center of the commercial activities at that time from Central Asia. 5 दरियाओं की धरती कहते हैं. पार्टीशन के समय हमारे पास सिर्फ पंजाब में 2 दरिया, सतलुज एंड ब्यास, 2 रिवर हमारे पास रहे. और हमारे जो पंजाब के लोग हैं वो वी हैव वेरी फर्टाइल लैंड. वी आर फूड बॉल ऑफ इंडिया. And also, we are number 1 in bicycle, auto parts of bicycles. 80% of the tractors Punjab में बनते हैं. 80% of tractor of India made in Punjab. Not only tractors, just 90 kilometers away from here, Jalandhar. The FIFA World Cup, all the footballs was made in Jalandhar. Now, Rugby World Cup is coming in France, 2023. The Rugby World Cup, all the rugbies are made in Jalandhar and will be made in Jalandhar. And all the cricket bats, balls. So Jalandhar is called a sports city. That's why in the field hockey, out of 11 Indian team members, 9 belongs to Jalandhar. So, पंजाबी खेलों में भी आगे हैं, स्पोर्ट में आगे हैं, तो खेती में भी आगे हैं, एग्रीकल्चर में, और फौज में जाने के लिए माने जाते हैं. Now comes to the school education. We are planning to open 170 school of eminence from 8th class upper, so then 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. School of eminence, बच्चा जिधर जाना चाहता है उसको उसी की ट्रेनिंग मिलेगी. अगर वो मेडिकल साइंस में जाना चाहता है मेडिकल साइंस में जाए, अगर वो इंजीनियर बनना चाहता है इंजीनियर जाए, अगर वो स्पोर्ट्स में जाना चाहता है स्पोर्ट्स में जाए. एनडीए भी उसमें है, नेशनल डिफेंस एकेडमी. आमतौर पे हमारे यहां पेरेंट्स की मर्जी से पढ़ाया जाता था. 90% ऑफ पेरेंट्स वो कहते हैं बच्चा हमारा डॉक्टर बने, तो फिर मरीज कौन बनेगा? 90% of parents show the interest that our son or daughter would be a pilot. Then who will be the passengers? Now, school of eminence, to check the mind of the children, कि कहाँ जाना चाहता है, इसका इंटरेस्ट क्या है, so that after 12th, at the time to go to university, वो एक परफेक्ट स्पेशलिस्ट एक फील्ड का जो उसका मनपसंद का है उसका वो स्टूडेंट हो, ताकि आगे जाके उसको ये ना कहना पड़े मैं ये पढ़ना चाहता था लेकिन मेरे माँ बाप ये पढ़ाना चाहते थे. सो आजकल बहुत खुल गया, आजकल कोई डॉक्टर इंजीनियर्स तक नहीं, बहुत ग्लोबलाइजेशन हो गई है. तो हमारे पास मोहाली near Chandigarh is a fast emerging as a center of higher education with many research and higher educational institute like Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, National Institute of pharmaceutical education and research, National Institute of Nanotechnology, National Biotechnology Institute, Palaksha University, MIT University, Chandigarh University, Chitkara University, etc. So higher education, school education is our priority. So I'm happy that you are there to discuss about education. You must see the boards, the advertisement of IELTS at every third showroom. IELTS is an English test. So our students used to sit in IELTS exam and they want to go to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, etc. But मैं ये नहीं कहता कि वहाँ जाना नहीं चाहिए. मैं ये कहता हूँ अगर हमारे पास कनाडा, न्यूजीलैंड, ऑस्ट्रेलिया की यूनिवर्सिटीज़ के वोकेशनल ट्रिप हों, आपस में टाई अप हो, हमारे स्टूडेंट वहाँ जाएं, आपके यहाँ आएं, कल्चर नॉलेज शेयरिंग हो, तो वो हमारे स्टूडेंट आपके स्टूडेंट मिलें अच्छे तरीके से, तो बहुत कुछ हो सकता है. रिसेंटली आई विजिटेड जर्मनी, इन बावेरिया स्टेट, म्यूनिख. I saw a unique kind of building that's called maker space. Maker space. एक कॉलेज में आमतौर पे एक लैबोरेटरी होती है. कितने स्टूडेंट होंगे? 70 होंगे, 100 होंगे. उन्होंने सभी आसपास के कॉलेज एंड यूनिवर्सिटीज को इकट्ठा करके एक स्पेस बना दिया उनके लिए कि यहाँ आइए. 1000-1500 स्टूडेंट आते हैं. वहां पे स्पेस शटल से लेके वुडन वर्क तक सब कुछ कंप्यूटराइज्ड एंड मशीनें लेटेस्ट वहां रखी हुई हैं. एंड 100 स्टूडेंट जो है वो नॉलेज शेयरिंग करता है. उससे क्या होगा? 10 गुना बढ़ेगा जब 1000 स्टूडेंट आपस में नॉलेज शेयरिंग करेगा. सो इट्स अ टाइम ऑफ नॉलेज शेयरिंग नाउ. शेयर द नॉलेज विद ईच अदर. So G20 is the strongest group. We are also lucky that Amritsar Sahab को 2 G20 summit मिले, 15, 16, 17 on education and 19 and 20th on labor. So to upgrade our educational promise with the people, 30 million people, और हमारी स्कूल की एजुकेशन को अपग्रेड करने के लिए we have sent 2 batches of consisting like 66 principals, 33 each, to the Singapore for the latest Singapore Academy of Principal Training, to upscaling their expertise and being exposed to some of the best international practice in teaching and learning. So we are sending 33 principals and teachers every month. So they will share their experience with their colleagues and they will use it to the latest techniques of teaching. So I'm happy to share that the state has allocated 17,072 crore of rupees for higher and school education sector for the coming financial year in the past budget a few days ago. So education is our first priority. आमतौर पे जो हमारे स्टूडेंट हैं वो मैथ में बहुत हाई हैं और दुनिया में जहां माइक्रोसॉफ्ट में जाओगे या स्टारबक्स में जाओगे, बोइंग में जाओगे, 40%, 45%, even 50% engineers are Indians. because we are very much high in math. We don't use calculators. We don't use calculators. Our brains are calculators actually. 8 by 8, 64. 9 by 8, 72. 9 by 9, 81. So, this is a traditional way of teaching the math. 2 by 2, 4. 4 by 4, 16. 16 by 4, 64. So, मैथ्स का जमाना है, तो मैथ्स में हम बहुत आगे हैं, और G20 में जो भी आप डिस्कस करोगे, अच्छे आइडियाज और अच्छे आपके जो डेवलपमेंट्स जो आप अपने कंट्रीज का शेयर करोगे, मैं आपसे वादा करता हूं, जो इन 3 दिनों में ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग होगी ऑन एजुकेशन, आई एम वेरी एक्साइटेड दैट whenever the result came of the 3-day educational workshop, I will apply it immediately in my state. I will apply it immediately. To upgrade my state in the education field. हमारे यहां आप दरबार साहब देखोगे, आपको कल्चर भी दिखाएंगे शाम को। हर शाम को आपके लिए कल्चर प्रोग्राम रखा है, उसमें देखना कि हमारा पंजाब जो है वो गुरुआं पीरां दी धरती, हमारे सॉन्ग्स सिंस द बर्थ ऑफ द बेबी टिल द डेथ ऑफ ए ओल्ड मैन, सॉन्ग्स हमारे पास पैदा होने से लेके मरने तक के अलग अलग बैराग, अलग अलग रंग हैं। हमारा खाना वो तो फेमस है, और अगर 3 दिन में आपने पंजाबी खाना खाया, हमारे लिए बहुत खुशी की बात होगी, लेकिन तुम्हारे लिए एक दिक्कत की बात ये रहेगी कि 2 से 3 किलो वेट बढ़ सकता है, बिकॉज सरसों का साग, मक्की की रोटी एंड वाइट कलर ऑफ बटर तो आप 2-3 किलो का थोड़ा लेके चलना, लेकिन खाना पंजाबी। वो 2-3 किलो जब किसी और स्टेट में जाओगे तब तक प्रैक्टिस एक्सरसाइज हो जाएगी, वो 2-3 किलो वो लिक्विड फैट है वो चली जाएगी, वो इतना सीरियस लेने की जरूरत नहीं है। सो हमारे एजुकेशन सेक्रेटरी, देश के हायर एजुकेशन सेक्रेटरी, और हमारी इंडियन फेडरल गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से बहुत से अधिकारी और पर्दे के पीछे जिन्हें जो अधिकारी काम कर रहे हैं, और जितने भी देश उनके रिप्रेजेंटेटिव यहाँ पे आए हैं, उनके मीडिया वाले, और हमारे पास बहुत से स्टूडेंट आपके देशों के यहाँ भी पढ़ते हैं, हम उनको लाइजन अफसर आपके साथ तैनात करेंगे। और मैनू लगता है कि जिहड़ा तुसी जिस जगह ते बैठे हो, इट्स अ वेरी वेरी हिस्टोरिकल प्लेस। सो मैं एक बार फिर आपका यहां पहुंचने पर वेलकम करता हूं, एंड आई थैंक गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया फॉर होस्टिंग दिस G20 सेशन इन अमृतसर. It gave us the occasion to showcase a rich heritage and tourist potential of not only Amritsar but Punjab in general. So I'm confident that you all will go back with happy memories of your visit to our state. So I extend my best wishes for the success of this event. Thank you very much for coming here. And हमारे यहाँ एक बोला जाता है, तुसी घर साडे आए असी फुल्ले ना समाए, साडे घर तशरीफ ले आया नू साडे सारियां वल्लों जी आया नू. Welcome, 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 and hope for a very healthy and fruitful event. I thank all the dignitaries from different countries and media persons from the different countries. और इस समिट को कामयाब करने में जिस व्यक्ति का भी हाथ है, चाहे वो कोई आपकी कार का ड्राइवर भी हो, अगर वो टाइम पे ना आया तो इस पूरे समिट में एक बात बन सकती है कि टाइम के पाबंद नहीं है, ये जहाँ गए थे, तो मुझे लगता है कि हर एक का बराबर का हिस्सा है। सो और ये नहीं है कि आज हम मिले बस उसके बाद चले जाएंगे। हिंदी में एक शेर है कि लोगों को अक्सर कहते सुना है जिंदा रहे तो फिर मिलेंगे। लोगों को अक्सर कहते सुना है जिंदा रहे तो फिर मिलेंगे, लेकिन इस दिल ने कहा है मिलते रहे तो जिंदा रहेंगे। बहुत बहुत थैंक यू, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और आपका यहाँ पे रहना मंगलमय हो, इत्थे रह के तुसी खुश होवो ते 3 दिनों बाद तुसी सारी जिंदगी लिए अपनी मैमरीज जड़ियां वो इत्थों लैके जाओ ते जाके दसो कि अमृतसर साहब असी गए सी ते उत्थों दे लोग जिहड़े ने वो इन्ना प्यार करने वाले ने, इन्ने ਉਹ ਮੇਜ਼ਬਾਨ ਨੇ, ਗੁੱਡ ਹਸਪਿਟੈਲਿਟੀ ਜੋ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੀ ਉਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਬੈਸਟ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਸਾਡੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਨਮਾਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਕਮੀ ਰਹਿ ਜੇ ਤਾਂ ਮਾਫੀ ਚਾਹਾਂਗੇ, ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਮੀ ਰਹਿਣ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਣੀ। ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ, ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਮਿਹਰਬਾਨੀ।
Thank you so much, sir, for the warm welcome and some fun facts about Punjab and culture and its hospitality. I now invite Dr. Pushpendra P. Singh, AD, Research and Development at the Indian Institute of Technology, Roper, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. I will start with thanking Honorable Chief Minister, Sri Mansab, for being with us today. Before I go for the vote of thanks, I would like to conclude today's session. As we approach the cessation of the inaugural day summit, we have been reminded of the pivotal role that international collaboration plays in addressing quarantine that comfort us in the present epoch. Throughout this convocation, our keynote speakers have underscored the potential of collaboration in the science, technology, and education, and how it can lead to ingenious solutions for sustainable development. We have heard a clarion call to foster the utilization of nascent technologies such as the IoT, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and to do so responsibly through international agreements. Approaches and grassroots innovations should be embraced, and collaborations should commence at the education level, encompassing the stakeholders from academia, government, and industry. To support research, funding mechanism must be established among the G20 nations and the friends, and prizes can be offered to incentivize researchers throughout the member nations. Indeed, we have seen how collaborations between institutions and industries have engendered the genesis of products and startups. The pandemic has shown us the opportunities for collaboration in domains such as online education and the genesis of COVID-19 vaccine. Furthermore, higher education institutions can play a salient role in promoting collaboration by adopting a roadmap for reinventing the higher education that encompasses sustainability, ethics, inclusion, and critical thinking. The G20 has the potential to leverage instruments and platforms to collaboration among the universities and facilitate the instrumental mobility of students and researchers. We must address that the access to technology and digital skills to ensure the great transition towards the Sustainable Development Goal achievements. It is vital that global standards are established to share data across borders and secure smart city and home technologies. In conclusion, this summit has provided us with an occasion to learn that the best practices and comfort has changed. We must continue to collaborate and innovate to achieve sustainable development goals and endanger a better future for all. Let us work together with renewed determination to bring about positive change. Thank you. With this, I also would like to thank the Ministry of Education, Government of India, and Ministry of External Affairs, G20 member nations and friends, the Khalsa College, who has provided this beautiful venue, state administration, district administration, security forces and officials, the volunteers, allies, and NCC of Khalsa College, and everybody who has been involved in the organization of today's event. With this, I thank you all for being here and listening, all of us. At the end, I also would like to thank our Chief Minister for being with us, and I would like to translate what he has said at the end. He said something in a very beautiful language, what we call Urdu, and he narrated that many people say that we will meet again if we live. And he quoted that he wanted to say differently, let's keep meeting so we can live longer. With this message, one earth, one family, and one future, we meet again. Thank you very much.
As we have come to the end of the second G20 Education Working Group seminar on promoting research and innovation through collaboration, we now invite you all to the G20 Expo at the Exhibition Hall. This exhibition is organized by the Indian Institute of Technology, Roper, under the Ministry of Education, promoting research and collaboration in the startup world, working in the domains of agriculture, mobility, and healthcare. This exhibition will be inaugurated by our Honorable Chief Minister. So now I would like all of you to move to the exhibition hall. I kindly request all the other delegates to be